I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Thursday, September 3rd. News headlines from Arkansas and elsewhere. Circuit Judge Doug Martin in Fayetteville this morning dismissed a request that he stop the Fayetteville special election Tuesday on a Fayetteville civil rights ordinance. He said under Supreme Court precedent, the request for this delay of the election came too late, only a day before early voting began, and they didn't cite a compelling reason for it to have been filed so late. As a result, he said the motion was moot and the election will go forward. It was a poorly founded complaint on a number of grounds, and I think it was mostly filed to get attention to the cause of those who are opposing the ordinance, perhaps a sign that the fight for the ordinance is going to fare better this time around than it did the last time when a tougher ordinance was beaten when it was referred to voters. Also on the subject of civil rights. In Kentucky today, a federal judge, David Bunning, has sent a Kentucky County clerk, Kim Davis, to jail for refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. He said such blatant contempt for a U.S. Supreme Court order couldn't be tolerated. He sent her to jail. Plaintiffs in the case just wanted her to be fined. It remains to be seen how long she will remain in jail rather than complying with the court's order. Some news has emerged in her running of that office, by the way. A very interesting article in a Kentucky publication quotes the county attorney there as saying that other members of that office are willing to issue marriage licenses but are afraid to do so because of their boss. So this isn't really a case about Kim Davis's religious beliefs only. It's about her trying to cram her religious beliefs down the throats of others who are otherwise willing to do their lawful jobs. That perhaps is going to change opinions a little bit about Kim Davis's supposed exhibition of principle. The county attorney there says he wants to follow the law. He says an out-of-state religious group is merely trying to raise money for its causes by using her as a martyr. Scott Walker, the Republican presidential candidate, is going to come to Fayetteville next week and try and raise some money. He was going to be a bright light in the Republican nominating derby, but so far hasn't risen very well in the polls. More news today about the amazing rise of Donald Trump nationally. He's far ahead of everybody in the race. He's gaining ground and gaining favorability in the important Iowa caucus. By the way, our former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee continues to lag way, way, way back. News today that Asa Hutchinson, the governor, is going to go to Cuba late in September on a mission to encourage doing agriculture business with Cuba between Arkansas, which has a lot to sell, and the Cuban nation. That puts him at somewhat odds with U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, who hates doing business with the Castro regime and thinks it's something near close to treason to do business with him. Asa Hutchinson clearly has Arkansas agricultural interest at heart first. I'd noted in our item today that he has a close advisor who handled his campaign advertising, Gary Heathcott, an ad man who's made dozens of trips to Cuba in hoping that someday business relationships would eventually be restored. So that's an interesting divergence from usual politics on the part of the governor again. Tim Howard, a death row inmate who got a new trial after 14 years and was convicted on a much reduced charge and sentenced to a sentence that was tailored to allow him to be immediately eligible for parole, remains in prison. Mara Leverett writes for us today about the very strange handling of the Howard case by the Department of Correction. It may mean another lawsuit. It looks like he may get out as soon as next February. He should be out today based on the jury the sentence gave him. The Department of Correction is not allowing that to happen. Matt Campbell, the Blue Hog Report author who does a lot of spade work on digging up dirt on various public officials at his Blue Hog Report, has gotten a letter back from the State Ethics Commission saying that it will open an investigation into a broad set of claims he's made about campaign and other misdoings by State Treasurer Dennis Milligan, Republican who ran for office on a promise to clean things up at the Treasurer's office. It's been almost an unending problem since he's been there. An investigation is not the same thing as a conviction, but it does mean they've found sufficient cause to look further, and so that's not good news for Dennis Milligan. I'm Max Brantley. That's all I'll have today, but I will be back tomorrow.